This is a podcast about both having autism and living with someone who has autism. My mom is Sonya, and I'm Josh, and this is Josh Has Autism.
Hey everybody, welcome to Josh Has Autism.
Hello.
Yes, so happy we're at it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been pretty crazy with back and forth to Florida and up here, and it is not lost on me that we left Pensacola, and then the hurricane hit.
Yeah.
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 We have a lot of friends and family down there, so I, sending them love and hope everybody's okay. A lot of them still do not have electricity.
Still?
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's tough.
Wow.
It's tough. So I hope that they get that back as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today I want to talk to you about expectations.
Uh-oh.
Yes. Because I've noticed that getting to live life with you, it's very different. I may have... Okay, so first of all, really smart people have said that the cause of all pain is expectation.
Mm.
So expectation, the word itself kind of leads, in my mind anyway, you have expectations of somebody, and if those expectations aren't met, then there's disappointment. Mm-hmm. There can be hurt, there can be anger, and you don't really live like that, though. And to me, it's nothing to do with it. It's a totally different subject here. Mm-hmm. But it's the idea of how... Nana just said this to me yesterday when I was talking to her. Yeah. She said about you, that you are the kindest, most gentle person that she knows. And you are just so loving. And then she laughed and said, and she has seen you make me crazy because we get into a little argument, you leave the room, you come back into the room, you act as if nothing happened. Meanwhile, I'm still simmering. Yes. And what made me think that that's related here is because it's my expectation. We don't even have to pick a subject to disagree on or to have a squabble about. It comes down to my expectation of you. Yeah. And what I wanted to ask you about and talk to you about is like that word, that experience of, having expectations of somebody.
If you're asking me a question, you haven't asked one yet.
I know that. I just thought about that. So here's the thing. It seems like you don't have a great deal of expectation in regards to how other people should be or how they should act. Your expectations come from how you need things to be.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like I don't expect other people to... How can I word this? I don't have expectations of other people. Generally speaking.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
The only times that I might have some sort of expectation is like, let's say I'm working on a group project with somebody. Mm-hmm. And I want for all of us to have an equal share of things. Mm-hmm. That's about the only time as an example, that's one time that I would expect someone to at least work for what they're doing.
Which is a whole other podcast in and of itself.
Yes.
Because when you have an idea of how something should be done, that's how you think it should be done. Yeah. And so that in and of itself, that whole situation, that scenario, you working in a group project is stressful for you.
Yes.
Anyway. But if somebody does something different than what you thought it should be in that case, that's extremely difficult for you.
Yeah. And one thing I've learned in that scenario, at least, is if someone can explain to me, like just in a logical format, as to why they should be doing this part as opposed to somebody else, or even as opposed to me, and can explain to me their thought process, that makes it all the more easier for me to accept and understand.
I don't mean this flippantly here, but does that work on everybody else but me? It sounds really flippant. That sounds sarcastic. Even though I said it, I didn't mean it that way. Here's what I'm trying to say: is that you and I we spend a lot of time together.
Right.
So when you have a way of doing something, if I have a different way of doing it, sometimes it upsets you. Even if I try to explain, I'll give you a perfect example.
Okay.
Moving furniture. So
right. In my mind, I'm seeing ways that it could be less stressful, less work. Like, for example, moving here to where we live now. We were moving furniture and all this stuff, and I was trying to be helpful, trying to get things done as quickly as possible with as much ease as possible. And I'm being told, no, we have to do it this way. But no explanations were really given.
Right. Your dad, when it comes to doing things like that, even when it comes to remodeling the house, when it comes time to, where he's doing something that,
Yeah.
where he's
In the
calculating. Zone. Yes, in the zone's a good way to put it. He doesn't verbalize. And I've had to tell him, you need to use your words. Yeah. We don't know what you want. We don't know what you're asking.
Right. And a lot of times he just does what he thinks needs to be done.
Right. And I wasn't. This conversation's just reminding me. I know that I've told you the last 3 days in a row, but today is the day that the kids' bunk beds are getting delivered.
Okay.
And so we're gonna put those up and have that all,
okay.
set up for them tonight.
Okay, thanks.
So the expectations that you have really do come down to because you like to know what's going to happen in advance.
Yes.
Like, it's a perfect example. We happen to be recording it when I just did this, but I would tell you today, remind you before this happened, just like we started, Sunday?
Yeah.
I started telling you Sunday that bunk beds are on the way, and so that, you like having information in advance.
Yes.
And so that's a pretty firm expectation. That's a necessity. I guess that's a necessity. The expectation is that it would go a way that you envision it going. That's a better way to put it.
Maybe. It might be an expectation, but I just don't view it as such.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never thought of it as it being an expectation.
Okay.
It's in my mind, it's a highly recommended course of action.
Okay.
Just to make it easier on all of us, especially me, though.
Well, if it's easier on you, it's easier on us.
Yeah.
When it comes to people, though, I think expectations get most of us in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
But you seem to be very comfortable with just, not having expectations on how other people should be.
Yeah.
I don't.
You, you don't what?
I just don't. I don't recall issues that you've had in that regard.
I've actually had the reverse issue happen.
What's that?
In so much that where I'm trying to understand someone,
Mm-hmm.
and I accidentally upset them because of it.
What do you mean?
One of the, as a perfect example, one of the guys that I play D&D with online,
Mm-hmm.
he has a perfect South African accent whenever he wants to.
Oh.
Like, he's acting to have one.
Okay. I like his character.
Yes.
Okay.
And I asked him one day before a game, like, how is it you have such a good accent like that? Because I know that he's not from South Africa or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a little blunt about it when asking him like that.
Mm-hmm.
And he explained that he's had multiple girlfriends from all over the world, essentially.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And
So he was exposed to the accent.
yes,
Uh-huh.
but at the same time, he later explained that he was also had other issues going on, so he was a little bit short with me about it.
Okay.
But I lost my train of thought of why I was bringing all that up.
Okay. I had asked you about. I had made a point that you typically don't have expectations when it comes to other people.
Yes, he initially thought that it was because he was black.
Oh. Okay.
And
got it.
And
Okay.
I wanted to make sure that he understood that no, that's not what it was.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
At all.
Right.
Right. Okay.
And he ended up being understanding about it, and he later explained, yeah, he had other things going on at the same time
Mm-hmm.
that were making him a little bit frustrated about things.
Mm-hmm.
So he was a bit short with me.
Right. Right. And that is something you don't have when you meet somebody. You don't have preconceived notions of what they're going to be, like.
Right.
Well, it doesn't matter what situation it is.
Right.
Which is pretty cool. That's one of your characteristics that I think that I kind of wish that I had that,
Yeah.
because again, the expectation, it doesn't come from anywhere else except, if I have an expectation, that's my expectation.
Yeah.
And not. Go ahead.
One thing that expectations to me are just weird.
Just weird.
Just weird. That's it. I mean, why would you expect something of somebody else, especially if you don't really know them or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's like going to a 3-year-old and saying, "Hey, pitch an 85-mile-per-hour fastball for me." Why would you do that?
So you're just saying it's unrealistic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does make sense. I think we have, in society, we have certain societal rules.
Mm-hmm.
And I think those become kind of an expectation that people have of one another. And then people get kind of wonky when others don't abide by those. So, for example, I have a really, really nice lady that was in line in her vehicle, and it's just she's down in Pensacola, so waiting in line. You know what I mean? Because everything's closed. Electricity's out in the whole all of Pensacola.
Yeah.
You wait in line to get some things that are given to people.
Mm-hmm.
So she's there in her car waiting for hours. Somebody zips up and pulls right in front of her. As the car in front of her pulls up a little bit, they just zip, So she's been waiting for hours. And, she was so frustrated that person felt like they didn't have to wait in line just like everybody else. And those are expectations that everybody has, that you wait your turn.
Yeah.
And when in this case, it's a kind of a jerk move for somebody to do that. But even people that are really nice humans can get frustrated when others don't just kind of abide by the expectation, even though it wasn't verbalized. You see all the cars lined up for miles, and you zip in and just cut in when these people have been waiting for hours. It's frustrating. So there are those kind of expectations that are just not verbalized, and it's kind of like not one-on-one kind of a thing, but
yeah,
it can really upset. It can really be upsetting if other people are not living up to that group expectation.
Yeah. You know what your whole thing that you just said reminded me of?
What?
The movie Rat Race.
Oh, Rat Race. That was a funny one.
Oh my gosh, it was. And it was one of those that I could actually stand to watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, so quiz here. That was a remake of what movie?
It's a Mad, 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 Mad World.
You got it! Oh, so Ethel Merman and...
Yeah.
Oh man, that was a good movie. That was such a good movie. If anybody hasn't seen that, it's worth watching the original.
Yeah.
Yep, it was so good.
Yeah, and the remake actually does it justice, though.
It does.
Yeah.
I liked them both.
Yeah.
I did, but the first one was just classic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so people doing things that are, I guess, self-serving.
Yeah.
Those don't really upset you that much. For a neurotypical, I think it really does. Because if we're all, having to do things a certain way, and somebody comes along and feels like they don't have to wait their turn,
Don't get me wrong, I'll still get frustrated every now and then. Mm-hmm. Especially if, someone cut you off or something like that. Mm-hmm. And my way of dealing with that, though, is I may cuss once or something like that, but then I just let it go.
Well, also, I've been with you. I don't think that...
Well, I don't cuss in front of you.
I don't think that you get upset that somebody did that. I think that you get upset that a lot of times when they do it, it's not safe.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And that's what frustrates me.
Right.
Is that they're not being safe about it. Right. And it could cause some serious injury.
Mm-hmm. Right. So when you meet someone, you were raised in a house that, have taught you that it doesn't matter what amount of money somebody has, what color their skin is, whatever preference, it doesn't matter. Anything and everything, people are valuable.
Yeah.
And I know that when you meet somebody, you don't have a preconceived notion of how they should be. So this, to me, is an expectation, right? So another word for that for me is just another words. Preconceived notion of how they should be. Mm-hmm. You just don't have that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool, because I think that, again, having an idea in our minds of how somebody should be, how somebody should, anything and everything, can interfere with our experiences.
Yeah.
And you don't do that.
Yeah, I really don't. It's weird to me to do that kind of thing. And I don't know. I honestly don't know if it's because of the way I was raised or if it's just the way I think.
Well, I think it might be both. But one thing that I've seen is you've had a lot of your the D&D guys over at the house, and so that's a lot of people that think the way you do.
Yeah.
And what I see is that it's not just like this group of friends that are hanging out together and know each other well. All of you are very free and comfortable with expressing yourselves.
Yeah.
And allowing the rest of the group to express themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like somebody can yell something that's inappropriate. You guys don't even miss a beat. It doesn't even sway your experience. It doesn't interfere in the least. You guys just, as if it's part of, the way that it was going to be.
Yeah, yeah. I've noticed when it comes to people on the spectrum that play D&D, they lean towards one or the other side of being really accepting like that, or being absolute trolls.
I don't know what that means.
Being a troll means you poke fun at everything, regardless of what it is or who it is. And it's not meant to be mean-spirited most of the time. It can be, but it's usually in groups like D&D, it's not meant to as such.
Okay.
But it's like, let's say your character does something that is absolutely weird or something like that. They're not going to let you forget it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they'll bring it up every now and then.
Okay, I got it. So they're okay. It's they're not letting it go.
Yeah.
And is it not letting it go the way that you would have a hard time letting something go that you?
It's more in the fun sense.
Okay.
More so like, if your character did something monumentally stupid, as a warning for future characters, they might bring up that character.
Oh, I got it.
In a joking manner and everything, but still.
Are they joking, or are they both joking and serious? That
a little bit of both.
Okay,
a little bit of both.
Got it.
But it's also poking fun at the player because their character did that.
Oh, okay. Well, have you had any experiences about issues with expectation outside of D&D?
Yes.
What was that?
Most recent, well, it still kind of involved D&D, but it wasn't in game. It wasn't in game.
Okay.
But the GM, which is the game master, who's in charge of the entire game, last I'd heard, the game was being held a certain day that was abnormal for the group. And then the group got together and I couldn't make it. So the GM ended up calling me flaky because of it.
Oh.
I'm not... You know me, I'm not flaky at all or anything like that.
Right.
So... And he keeps bringing it up, so I
I had a situation like that the other day in the store. And it's one of those things where, like, it turns out to be something, and you're like, wait a second, that's not how it is. So, Dad likes Pepsi. And I got him a 12-pack of Pepsi. The sign said it was $3.48. And so I went to buy it, and it rang up as $4.98.
Mm-hmm.
I said, that's the wrong price. I told him what it said it was. The person called in the back or whatever, and they came back and said it was $4.98. I said, well, I don't want that then. I'm not paying that for it.
Mm-hmm.
So I went in the back and looked, and somebody was working there, and it said $3.48. And she went down and looked at it, and she pulled it off the shelving and said, this is Mountain Dew. This is not even, it's in the wrong place. I said, well, it's right where the Pepsis are, and it says $3.48. She said, right, and that was somebody's mistake. It makes it look like it's $3.48.
Yeah.
So, but when I was up front and I told him that, and then the cashier said to the manager there, she's saying it's $3.48, and then the way that the manager came back and just said to the cashier, it's $4.98. Like I was trying to
hustle them or something.
Yeah, or I was I made a mistake or something. It was on me.
Mm-hmm.
When I went back then and saw that it was their mistake,
yeah,
it's like what you're talking about. Is like I wanted to see that. It's like it's so petty of me. It's so petty of me. Like I don't know why it even got to me like that. But it's like, no, I make plenty of mistakes all the time, every day.
Yeah.
It's not about that. It's about, in that moment, it was like, well, you acting like I'm, some idiot that can't, and I got it wrong when you guys got it wrong.
Yeah.
And anyway, I didn't see that lady again. I saw her, she was way far away, so I ended up just grumbling on the way out.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that. I thought you were going to say that you just walked up to her and said, I was right, and walked away.
I felt like it. And then I'm thinking, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, why was I, at that point, I was being petty.
Yeah.
I think. But I don't know why.
But you didn't act on it.
No, I didn't, but I wanted to. I did.
But that's the difference between actually being petty and thinking petty.
Well, maybe. Maybe.
You may feel a certain way, but if you act on it, that makes you that.
Yeah. Anyway, but clearly it still bugs me.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about it today. But so I want to get down to this. When you meet somebody, you don't expect them to be a certain way. To act a certain way, think a certain way.
Right, because why do people have expectations of others if not as a way to judge others? And what do I try not to do? I try not to judge others.
I would take that a step further, and I would say that you don't judge others. I would say that you can clarify that for me, because if you're saying that you try not to judge others, that's different. I just don't think...
For the most part, I do not. Sometimes I am influenced by others.
Like when they cut us off in traffic.
Yes.
Right. If somebody tells you that they're going to be here at a certain time, that goes back to the concreteness of you're supposed to be here at this particular time.
Right.
If somebody tells you they're bringing something, and then you
plan around that,
and then they bring something different.
Yeah.
Are you okay with that, or no? Is that a different category altogether? Because that goes back to... It's
not necessarily a different category or the same category.
Mm-hmm.
It's more so that I would prefer to be informed about it so that I can plan around it.
Right. So, again, it goes back to your expectations are in full play when it comes to situations or tangibles, the things, right? And not so much with your very easygoing when it comes to different personalities and different likes and you
Yeah.
know.
And I try and be accommodating to that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It doesn't occur to you to think that people should be a certain way, right?
Right. Right. And which is why racism is also kind of weird to me.
Why?
Because I have no expectations of how people should act or anything like that.
Right, right. So when you hear that right now there's or in history books, when there are discrepancies there, that's foreign to you.
Yeah.
Right, got it.
It's
Got
like
it.
it's
I
almost
wish.
anathema to how I think.
Right, right. I wish everybody was like that. Yeah.
But that's an expectation.
Yes, it is. And I can't help it. I do. I have those. I have those ideals.
Yeah.
You know, I have those ideals. So maybe it's not an expectation, but it is a
Want at the very least.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's interesting. Is there anything else about expectations in general?
Well, I mean, I know that most of what we've just talked about was having expectations from my point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Have we talked about others having expectations of me?
No, we didn't. We also didn't have what I even think is a good point that your expectations of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because you are really hard on yourself in certain areas,
Yeah.
and in other areas, I'll just say you're oblivious. So there is nothing. There's it's not a thought. I should say it's not a concern. It doesn't enter your
Right.
mind about certain things.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say that's expectations are pretty prevalent when. So I know you,
Mm-hmm.
and through you, there are a lot of people on the autism spectrum that I know, that I've had the opportunity to come in contact with and have conversations with. And it is always upsetting to me for those that don't know what they're talking about on the outside, making judgments on what somebody on the autism spectrum is.
Yeah.
That's something that as a parent I've dealt with that your whole life.
Yeah.
And it just makes me furious.
Yeah.
And at first it was like maybe it hurt my feelings, whatever. Not anymore. I just don't have any tolerance for people that are gonna lump other people and have an expectation of what somebody on the spectrum is like.
Right.
It's not cool.
Dr. Chrissy Ogilvy has a saying that she always says.
Mm-hmm. She would point out to you that it's not hers. She heard it.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She just uses it a lot then.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that is that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, so I do think that you've had to overcome an awful lot of ideas that people have had about you, and you've had to overcome their perceptions, preconceived notions again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, so I think that people on the spectrum that that I've met through you, I would say that they are. It's more. It would be more common for them to not, to not behave badly the way that neurotypicals do when it comes to. And you use the word good. It's really good. The judgment. So it's, you're using that interchangeably. And so I think that you and your friends that I know, you don't seem to judge others at all.
Yeah.
Very much in the moment.
Yeah.
And expressive and loud. You and your friends are loud.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Yeah.
So anyway, that I don't know what else to ask you about that, because this was a subject that just kind of came up, and I didn't think that we talked about this before.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy the way that you move into situations without when meeting new people, without
preconceived notions.
without you feeling like you know what's going to happen or what they're about, and what have you. And I also noticed that your sister, whenever she has new friends come around, or old friends come around, whatever it is, but new to you, it's really cool because you have conversations easily with them.
Yeah.
And every walk of life, and you just kind of, start up a conversation, and it's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Which, it's my understanding that doesn't happen very often with people on the spectrum. Is that correct?
I think that it's... I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that with you, I think it's been learned.
Yes.
So
that's a big point of that, yes.
Yeah. So that for many, many years, we would, in the moment, show you what to do. But also a big part of it is that when we talk about the expectations in society, that was one of the things that you had to learn, because, it was super important that you understood that you couldn't grab people, that you couldn't, take things from a store. Lessons that were really important because they didn't come to you naturally.
Right.
And so it would just be in mimicking those things over and over and over, and repeating them over and over and over, that this is how this is done and this is how that's done. And then at times I would try to talk to you about why things shouldn't be done, but it really did work better me showing you things that should be done.
Yeah.
And why. Why it's the importance of that, whether it was a safety issue or what. And I can remember some of the therapist, the mobile therapist, would teach you to the response, so that when somebody says, "How are you?" do they want to know how you are? Do they want to know how your week has gone? And
yeah, or is it just being a pleasantry?
Exactly. And so as those things were being taught, it was also taught, in an effort to get you comfortable in conversations with people that you don't know. That happened a lot. Yeah. And so, I don't know if it's quote, typical, or is it just you because you were exposed to it so much? I don't know.
Right.
And then we had people at the house all the time, and crazy comedians.
Crazy comedians, yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm here in Virginia. Well, obviously, we're together here. I don't know if I'm going back down there. I don't think I will while we've been taking turns. Your Uncle Tracy and I have been taking turns. Which, by the way, my brother's name is Tracy, and the kids hear Gracie, so now he is Uncle Gracie. So, anyway, I don't know if I'm going to be going back down there, but you are welcome to come with me if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So everybody, thank you for listening. I don't know if this one made much sense. I think you did a great job, Josh, and as usual, I'm scattered. So that's just what we do. Anyway, thanks so much for hanging out with us. If you would go somewhere and give us a 5-star review, that would be awesome. And it helps us. I think I figured this out. It helps us to be at the top of a list.
Yeah, the most seen. It helps us be seen more.
So if you would do that, we would really appreciate it. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and we will talk to you next week. Love you.
Bye.